It's showtime!
Welcome to Show Me Some Television, the segment where I binge watch television programs and talk to you about it. Well, tell you about it, because we're not really having a dialogue here, unless you comment down below. So comment down below if you're watching The Strain, if you've watched it, what you think. Try and keep it spoiler-free. I'll try and do the same, but this is Season 2, so if you haven't seen Season 1, you may want to do that first, because you can't really talk about, following seasons without giving some information away that may be considered a spoiler, as much as I try to keep it spoiler free. Try being the word there. Sometimes it just comes out. In Season 2, we get all our, returning characters. We get Ephraim's there, Abraham, the old vampire killer, if you will, Nora, Vasily, Eldridge Palmer, Eichhorst, Dutch, and of course Zach. All those your characters are returning. Essentially it just continues on the story that was Season 1. And if you watched my first video about The Strain, you will know that Season 1, it didn't really have a big story arc or anything like that going on. And that's kind of changed in Season 2. There's more of a defined path that's visible in Season 2. It's not just, Outbreak and such. In fact, there's multiple sort of storylines that are going on. Some of them, and I think this is part of the problem with Season 2, they introduce them and they tend to go nowhere. Whether this is to try just as filler, or whether they're trying to, keep them there as, what do you call it, like a MacGuffin, like a distraction from what's the actual path. It's hard to say, and maybe they will be referenced to in later season. I don't know. Again, I've only seen up to Season 2 at this point. I believe Season 3, if there is a Season 3, is just starting up now, or is coming back now, or I don't know. I think it's coming soon, fall season. So, yeah, in Season 2, we have essentially Nora and Ephraim have a thing where they're trying to create a biological weapon to fight the vampires. There's that portion of it going on. There's another sort of storyline where Eichhorst and Abraham are both trying to get their hands on an old tome, an old book called the Lumen, which Abraham believes should contain some kind of information that will help them to defeat the vampires, defeat the Master, specifically because that's who his beef's with. It's with the Master, whereas Eichhorst is trying to keep it away. Essentially, you think for the same reasons. You never know. Now, there is a group in second season which was in the first season, but they were never really flushed out at all. And that's another separate group of vampires, which in the first season you saw them show up sort of like dressed in SWAT things and killing vampires. So it was vampire and vampire violence, but there was nothing was there. They were never really introduced. You didn't know who they were. They just sort of showed up in a few episodes, and that was it. Well, Season 2, you get to learn about them and how this is essentially the group of the what you call the elders, the old vampires, who I guess they live in New York, and the Master was kind of an outcast from that, and so it's essentially like I wouldn't call it a blood feud, more like a territorial feud, whereas the Masters come into their house now and messing up with what they started, and so they don't like that. So they have their own agenda, obviously, and so there is dealings between them and then obviously our heroes, and then there's some dealings with anti-heroes in the likes of what was it? Is his name Gus? Is that his name? Gus. There's an Hispanic guy in the show, and he was in season 1. But he didn't, it was sort of a side story. But in season 2, he is essentially working with I guess we'll call them the good vampires as their human henchmen. So he gets a bunch of his, we'll call them gangbangers, together to form a human army to help them. Obviously they can't go out during the day, so they need more people to help them with that, considering the Master is employing all of these rich and powerful people to control the politics and such of what's going on. This is their attempt to develop their own system against that. I am quite surprised that they hadn't infiltrated human society more. It seemed like they would have, but apparently not. Now they do bring in sort of like a ringer vampire, a uber vampire, who's not like a bigger vampire or more powerful vampire, but one who I think he was a half-breed, so I guess he's vampire and humans. I don't know. That was a little weird. And I would have thought they would have gone into, if that was the case, I would have thought they would have, the scientists would have gone into more detail trying to learn about him, but whatever. A lot of secrets in the show, so a lot of people aren't finding out right away, etc., 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 because that's how they move the plot along. But he is essentially somebody who is adept at fighting vampires and has a beef against the Master personally himself. So, he's in it for the same reasons as Abraham is in it, essentially, which results in a few moments. Like, you think about it, like, Abraham really's got some problems. Like, there are vampires everywhere, but he doesn't really care about all the other vampires. He just wants to kill the Master. And in his mind, he figures, if I kill the Master, all the other vampires are, going to return to human form or die. I don't know. But then again, you get the Ephraim and whole thing where he at first he wanted to try and cure them, but immediately it didn't take long for him to decide, that's not going to work. We're just going to kill them. That's a spoiler case. It gets revealed early, but it's still a spoiler. Oops. Then there's also Zach's mom. So as you know, when a human is turned into a vampire, they essentially go and they want to they go back to their loved ones and eventually turn them, and that's kind of how the virus works and propagates itself. So Zach's mom, obviously being that Zach and Ephraim are together and are an enemy of the state of vampire, the vampire state, she is given a little bit of extra oomph from the Master in the hopes that because she's trying to get Zach, that will result in eventually, hopefully defeating these human, thorns, the pain in their sides, the human element that is really, messing with their plans. And so there's that sort of storyline of her and what she's doing to try and get to her son, essentially, And, you know, as anything, nothing will stand in our way. Nothing's gonna stand in our way. And, don't ask me where that came from. And so, yeah, my thoughts on season 2. I kind of liked the fact that it actually seemed to have a direction. It seemed like it was going somewhere. And unlike season 1, season 2 does end on a cliffhanger. So finally, after 2 seasons, there is one of those, oh my god, I gotta watch, and that's the end of the season. So that was nice, but of course it sucks, and it's one of the reasons why I tend to not watch shows when they're running, because then I can't watch the next episode. It hasn't come out yet. So, but yeah, I like that the doctors were trying to deal with the strain as a virus, because I do, like I said, that's one of the things I liked about the strain starting off. It's a virus. It's all about virus. But this season definitely takes more of a it's definitely more geared towards the monsters. It's not really a virus at this point. It is, you know, they are some kind of monster, vampire, whatever you want to call them, strigoi. And people have come to accept that. People are dealing with that. The humans are fighting back. The weird thing is, and this is it, the humans now know that the vampires exist. Season 2, everybody knows they exist. The city is fighting back, and, you know, the police are fighting back, and they're trying to clear out, you know, areas of the vampires. But everybody's just sort of going about their lives. There is some looting, but you would think that there would be major looting, because I don't know how much actual importing of goods is going on. You do see people, you know, raiding stores and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, you see people, like the rich people are still walking around and going about their days. It's just like, I'm confused. What kind of situation is actually taking place in this city? Is it anarchy, every man for themselves? Is there some kind of system set up? You have these, you know, I don't, honestly, that's one area where I think the strain is really kind of faltering on, and it's trying to develop this world. The characters are all done well, and they you know, they're kind of clearly defined as to who they are, what kind of character they are, what is their mindset, why are they doing things, all that kind of stuff. But the world itself seems a little weird, because you've got some areas that have, you know, developed their own little communities and are dealing with the situation. You've got other areas where there's clearly looting going on, and then you've got images where people are just going about their daily lives. All the while, you know, at night, vampires are going around killing people and turning people, and you would think exponentially growing the vampire menace, but I don't know. Or is it just that people are going home at night and locking their doors, and apparently the vampires are just like, I don't know how to get through a door. I don't know. It seems weird, but I don't know. Something's going on, and I don't think it's really well explained in terms of what the situation is on the ground in this city. So I would have liked more of that explanation going on, considering how much is spent on developing certain scenarios, because like I said, the police are fighting back. We get characters who are there are taking major frontline and center, you know, political things going on, but at the same time we don't really have any idea of what this society is really like, because it can't be anarchy and go about your life as usual, because those two things don't go hand in hand. You can't just go to the store and buy groceries and go to the gas station and get gas when it's been looted. Right? Right. There is a restaurant that is open, and you know, yes, they've locked their doors and they're trying to keep out the riffraff and the looters and the vampires, but it's still open and people are going there and eating. I don't know. Now it's funny because these people basically explain away that they are, you know, they're still open because they wouldn't leave their family business. This is all they have, blah 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 blah. And I get that mentality, but there can't be that many people in the city with that mentality. There would have to be, you know, stuff going on. So I don't understand how in some of the day scenes we still see a lot of cars and people walking and such like that at this point, because it's well defined that people know vampires. They just know, they know the vampires, and the vampires are killing people, and it's just going on. So yeah, that would be my one beef with the strain. In the first season it was okay because nobody really knew what was going on, so it wasn't really developing in that fashion. But season 2, it has blown out. There is a vampire menace, so it doesn't make any sense. So that's my beef with season 2. Outside of that, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the characters. I'm enjoying, you know, the political rigmarole that's going on. I'm enjoying the horror aspects, the gore aspects, the, you know, family aspects. And after, you know, that season finale of season 2, whoa, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing season 3. Fortunately, hasn't come out yet, so it's definitely not on Shomi, which means I'm going to be waiting a while. But yeah, there you go. There is my take on The Strain season 2. Let me know what you think. Try and keep it spoiler free. Post down below. I'd love to hear from you. Till next video, take care. Have a good one.